isn't on the board.
Oh, Holly was a disaster. Thursday, Mike running the show.
We're on it.
That's okay, we can print that too.
Doesn't work for you.
William wasn't here and Mike was running the show.
Good morning. Officially call the Seneca County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Join us for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Zoller will lead us with the prayer.
Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful weather that we're having today. Please give the voters of Seneca County, the state of Ohio, the wisdom to vote properly as they go to the voting booth, and for those elected officials that will be elected, to give them the wisdom and the knowledge to do the will of the people. In your name, amen.
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 Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Here.
Well, the signing of the journal, and I'll accept a motion to approve the DVD recording of the previous board session, which was from Thursday, October 29th, and the index of that meeting.
I'll make a motion, we approve it as outlined.
Second.
Motion and a second. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Approved. Thank you. All right. Do we have any adjustments to the printed agenda?
I would like to talk about the Joint Justice Center as it relates to amount to finance, bonding.
Anything to add? Mr. Zoll?
No.
Stacy? Okay. All right. Beginning with old business then, we have museum down here. And that was regarding was that regarding setting the bidding information for the repairs?
That resolution is on here, so I don't know if there was some extra conversation.
That was the one for the resolution that they wanted us to do up when we were in Hopewell Township for the intent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're still working on that one.
I'm confused. So do we have the packet ready to set it out for bid now?
We're ready to set time and date today.
That is on here at this
For the museum.
resolution.
Set time and, on when we expect the bids to be returned?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, now, do prospective contractors, do they have to request a bid? Or do we just send it out to the local contractors?
They have to request it.
They
And
have
we
to
will have it on our website Friday, and it will be advertised starting Friday. So
Okay.
it will be available, and they can call, stop up, we can print out a bid packet and give it to them too.
And we have decided we're gonna do, if it's within budget, that we're gonna do the whole project, we're not gonna break it down into 2 phases. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's just the porch.
Okay. Yeah, and the funding, we've got secured funding from the foundation and from, was it Tiffin tomorrow?
Tiffin Charitable.
Tiffin Charitable. We have
Tiffin Charitable.
secured funding on that for 50,000, and the commissioners would throw in 50,000, assuming we can get it done for 100
Yeah.
or less.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there was something else somebody wanted on, added this old business in the museum, but I'll throw in museum related. We bumped our next task force reorganizational meeting, it was supposed to be this afternoon, to this afternoon to next week, due to schedule.
Complex.
We moved it, I'm really getting confused on dates.
So what's the date of your meeting, a week from
We
today?
moved it to the 18th. Was it supposed to be this Wednesday?
No, it said originally today.
It was
supposed to
today.
be today.
Okay, we moved it to the 18th, that's what we moved it to.
To the 18th, so 2
Yes.
weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, I was like, it's just like, when I got back, there's been a million emails adding things to my calendar, and I'm just keep getting confused what I've added where.
What time are you gonna do that?
1 o'clock.
1 to 2:30 at the museum. That's it. There's been nothing else museum related wise, okay. All right, Justice Center bonding, Mike?
Well, our bonding agent wants us to come up with a number. And so I think that we ought to at least discuss it and see if everybody's on the same page as far as what our number is. The biggest assumption is the $10 million. We don't know, at this point, what it's gonna come in at, but let us assume $10 million total cost. Assuming that, we know that the city is in for 25%, which is $2.5 million. So the county's gross number begins at 7.5 million. We have set aside $1.5 million from my recollection of conversation. Is that correct?
If we put money in for 15, is that already in there yet?
It's 1.45, but
And
it,
that's got 2015's
yes, amount in it.
contribution towards it.
Yep, so 1.5.
Well, let me ask you, we are also gonna have another year.
Well, let me go through this number so that, so we start on 7.5 with the city's portion, and we put $1.5 million in, that takes us to $6 million. The judge's number, the common pleas judge's number is gonna be someplace 500 or above, so let's make it 500. So we are now at 5.5 million, and if the state loan for 500,000 for a joint justice center comes through, which I believe it will, we are now at $5 million. So it looks like our financing number is someplace in the range of 5 to, just make certain that we've got some leeway, 5 to maybe 5.2 million.
Excuse me, you said common pleas is 500,000. How about municipal? Or is that
That's
all the
part of the
judges
city.
together?
part of the
That's the
cities.
that's the city's 25%.
Okay.
So, we don't have, we can come up with a number, from what I understand, we don't have to take it all. So I would suggest that we talk about a number of 5.2 million. As previously discussed, our bond folks think that it probably is wise for us to talk to the underwriters face to face. And that would take place at their business address, which is probably New York, sometime before the end of November,
December, we're looking at the 9th, 10th, and 11th.
9th, 10th, and 11th of
December.
December. So 1, 2, or all of us can go and have that discussion. Our bond advisors believe that it would have a positive impact on the rate they charge if we made our own case. So, right now, it looks like it's between 5 and 5.2 million, based on all conversations and based on all numbers. And I just want to get some, I don't need final agreement, but I certainly need the permission from this group to have the discussion in the range of 5.2 million.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're saying
That works for me.
that if we, I'm sorry, I won't go ahead.
I was just saying, the math that comes out to what I know we need.
Mhm. If you're stating that we could ask for more and it isn't gonna cost us, and we don't have to take it,
I don't know the exact answer to that.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of variables. One of the variables is, are we indeed going to get that 500,000 from the state? We believe that we are, but it's not in our hands. We're more sure, if you will, of the judge's contribution. We know what we have. And as you said, Fred, it's possible for us maybe to have some additional if we accrue for it in 2016, although I don't know that that's going to be possible. But based on the numbers, the best guess right now, but all this is contingent on a $10 million total cost, understand. If that number isn't 10, if it's under 10 or if it's over 10, then everything slides that way.
if it doesn't cost us to go for more, my strong recommendation, I've been through numerous building projects, never any of this size, but it never runs cheaper than what you think it is. And I don't wanna go in penny wise and pound foolish. If it, again, and I preface it, if it doesn't cost us, my recommendation, and assuming we don't know about the 500,000 yet from the state, my recommendation is we would go and look at a bond council for 6 million. 5.2, I think, is just cutting it a little too short. Because I know I've had conversations with the mayor. I think this thing, and we all want to put a building that we all can be proud of. We don't want to put a pole building up out there. We want to put something that looks like a courthouse, and it fits in the downtown. And that may add a couple dollars more. And so I don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish in there.
Right, I think we can go in excess, I think $6 million is a bit rich, because the other thing you have to consider is if it is over, and if the city agrees, they would contribute 25% of the
Yes.
overage.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's what happens. I don't know that that's what's gonna happen, but if that's what happens. So, I don't know I don't know the answer to your question, in that, will it cost us additional money if we don't use all the bonding? I think you said if we're within 10% from our original conversation, that the bond could be finalized at 10% less. And I don't know if we're gonna go with the bond anticipation note, or if we're going to go with straight financing. There's a number of other factors that we have to decide upon before we go forward. So, 6 million is probably too rich, because we'd have some obligation to repay part of that. I don't know if there'll be any prepayment penalties. I'm not sure how exactly it'll be underwritten. So, but we do have to give them a number. So I guess that the compromise number would be somewhere about 5.5. That is acceptable, and we'll go forward assuming that number.
All right. But I guess, and if you find out from them what they say, when we actually get down to the,
And, depending on our budget for 16, there's nothing that says that we have, well, there is something that says we have to use $1.5 million for it, but we could reallocate a portion of that if we decided not to use it all as down payment.
I could buy into the 5.5.
Okay.
I just don't want to tie our hands when we go into a project of this nature.
yeah.
And all of a sudden, now we gotta worry about general funds money. And again, if there is additional cost, it will be split on a 25-75 basis here.
And we
Well-
gotta remember, our payback is, this is sales revenue, sales tax revenue generated
Right.
bond, and so that's going to then restrict some things for us, because we'll have to know that repayment comes out immediately, and I know that's a few, down another year away, but.
Well, the 5.5 gives us at least a little leeway, because understanding that that would give us a project that would be approximately 10.6 or 10.7, because 25% again would be the city's responsibility. So we've got a leeway there, that if the bid comes in at 10.5, we've got enough to cover it, if everybody agrees to go forward.
Okay.
So 5.5 is the number.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
All right.
And I would make the recommendation that Mike, you, and possibly Commissioner Stacy, and our administrator, that you would travel based on the recommendation that we do a one-on-one meeting with bond counsel. I don't need to go there, but certainly Mike and Holly being so much involved with that, and administrator, so I would make a recommendation that you guys plan your time and schedule that time with them. I certainly could appreciate the one-on-one appearance there to try to negotiate the best deal that you can.
Yeah. Anything else with that?
I think that's all I have, yes.
Okay. Takes care of our old business. I think we proceed with some of, John, we've got you scheduled for 10:30, and I know there were some others that were coming over, so I don't want to go early, if that's all right, if you don't mind, okay. We will move on down with the new business, and
One thing I do want to bring up, if you're ready to talk about it, Hope Royce lease. We know that the Board of Elections is going to be looking at both areas, at the Hope Roy's area and also Job and Family Services. They've been told to, get some cost estimates of what it would be. My concern is that we won't know those numbers before the end of the year. So, and that's what we've said we would do, is give her 12 months notice. So, I don't know if you're ready to make that decision quite yet, but I know Board of Elections probably won't be ready with those numbers before December.
I guess I don't know that we have much choice, because if they come back with numbers saying they definitely think that space would work, then we are going to need it. And if we want to make sure we give her 12 months notice,
Yeah. Well, we're not in the business to lease to private sector anyway. I mean, we're not a real estate holding company. So, whether or not the Board of Elections takes that space over, I think is inconsequential. The fact is that we need to have that space for our uses. So I think that we just give her the notice and go forward, and hopefully we get the numbers we need. But that really isn't a requisite to do the deal.
yeah.
I would make a recommendation, because we certainly by contractual at least, we have to give her 12 months, but also being cognizant of her business, and it's very much evolves around the Christmas season. And I would hate like have to evict her December 31st, even though that would take care of our obligation. I would recommend that we would allow at least a 1 or 2 month grace period in there to allow her sufficient time after the lease is expired, after the Christmas season's over, to then to move this stuff out, versus be busy at Christmas season, then also either find a relocation or whatever. I mean,
Did you verbally promise or anything?
no, I said we would bring it up to this board.
Okay. Well, I think I would think that 30 days after the first of the year would be sufficient, but do you think she needs 60? I mean, I don't know if we're just prolonging this.
I would think
You know,
30
we
would
are,
be
yeah.
sufficient enough to give her that,
Okay, well, then the lease will expire, my motion would be that that the lease expires December 31st, 2016, and that she be, vacate the building by January 31st, 2017.
I can agree with that.
The only other thing she did request is if she could freeze her lease payments for 2016 at basically it'd be 2014 rates, because we froze it for 15. She was gonna get the increase for 15 and 16. She's asking to freeze it to the 2014 rates.
I have no problem with that.
and that's not included, she pays her own utility stuff separate, right?
No. Phone, she pays her own phone, we pay the electric.
My only concern was, did we have a big change in 2 years with those utility charges that we're eating?
And that I don't know.
I'm assuming
Building's not
that's.
separated.
It's not separated.
There's litter. Current would be, it's about less than $100 difference a month. What she's charged now and what it would be. $16.94 is what she's paying in 15, and it would go up to $17.78 a month. You can think about it. I don't need that necessarily today, so.
I guess I mean, I don't know, is it all electric? What is the heating?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's gas and electric.
Yeah,
Because it runs
I'd
through
kind
the
of like
rest
to
of
review
it.
current rental rates and see how many square foot we got, what we're charging per square foot, see what our total cost is. I have no objection to assisting a little bit, but, it could be skinned a couple of different ways. You could collect it all and then rebate to her a couple of $1,000 or something at the end for moving expenses. So there's a number of ways to look at it.
Okay.
I don't have any problem with, with doing something a little bit less than market, but I also don't want to do something that's half market. So I kind of like to review it and see where we're at.
You want to get the bill vouchers?
Oh, yep, new business. I have bill vouchers 7896 and 7897. A resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment to the EMA fund, putting $1,100 from hospitalization to PRS. And the supplement to the permanent appropriation for the EMA fund, putting $19,000 for salaries. This is the buyout of Dan's retirement, and also the adjustment for the 27th pay. He didn't do that earlier. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the probate court computer research fund, putting $600 into contract services. A resolution rescinding the board orders of October 29, 2015, volume 91, page 518, supplement to the permanent appropriations for the capital projects fund. We needed to ask Budget Commission for the increase. I have a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the Seneca County Museum porch renovation project. This will be received on December 1st, 2015 at 10:30 a.m. here in our office. And again, it will be advertised and up on our website Friday.
December 1st?
December 1st, yes. And that's all I have.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So seconded.
A motion and a second to approve the resolutions as stated. Any comments, concerns, questions? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes, all approved, thank you. All right, bring it down. Schedule, we're still just a little bit ahead, but the ones I knew were coming are here. To have John DeVoli talk with us about the GIS study, I guess, the results thereof, or the action plan or something.
More stuff. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time. I'm here today with Kelly Holman, by the way, from the ESC's joining me today as well. Thank you for your time. We have kind of like a handout for you for, if I could approach you, give you each one of these. Basically, I talked to Commissioner Zoller about this. We attended the meeting about 2 weeks ago, was it, Fred?
Yeah, something.
Approximately, and kind of look at how we could possibly do a phase one. There you go. Phase one of the GIS program. The whole front page here is all technical jargon. I could act like I understand it, but I will not. Our IT department understands it quite well, and so does our consultant and the people involved with it. Basically talks about there was a phase one involved with the project, and they scoped it under Commissioner Zoller's request to scope it down a little bit, kind of do a phase, like we call it here, phase 1A. Some of the things there. On the second page, a little bit more of the scope of the services, which I could kind of understand this a little bit better. The virtualized servers, some different things with the software, the servers involved on the bottom, client responsibility, some of the stuff I know that the auditor's office already has, and some of it, of course, the engineer, Mark, has as well. But kind of comprehensive thing on there. Most importantly, the consultant working with them, and then working with our meeting we had a couple weeks ago, kind of sums it up on the third page, the summary. Basically talks about the ownership of this. It would be a much more comprehensive and unified system, a more robust system, having it all encapsulated with one entity, whoever that may be. And at the same time, though, we had the consultant go back and take some figures that were talked about, that we got from the auditor's office, some from the engineer's office, some from the city of Tiffin as well, because we had a good conversation. Matt was the fellow who was there from the city. The fellow, Mario, the city engineer, couldn't be there, but it worked out pretty well because the person actually handles the GIS for the city, Matt, and I can't remember for the life of me his last name, very nice young man. But he was there and he talked about how they use their GIS as well. And but with all that put together, the very last paragraph, the TCO on the whole thing the total cost of ownership. Right now, the county has into it, this is just an estimate with all the different things involved and using some man hours, around 150 to 200,000. And the consultant with all his years of expertise in GIS says that from what he can figure out what we have going on here, we have a much more comprehensive, a robust system, designed and developed for well under that TCO that's existing right now in the county. Basically, it's going to be, is said it's in your hands now. You guys take a look at it. Take a look at this. Is just a brief summary. If you want to go further on it, they're more than willing. We're more than willing to go further with it and help with it as well, or not. You have a good system now, and it works well for the auditor, and a good system with the engineer works well for him. And they're very competent in the auditor's office. They're very competent with the engineer office. The city has somebody who's competent doing it, but everybody's kind of doing their own same thing. And this would be a unified, comprehensive, and more robust system for basically the same cost. Or they believe they believe it could actually be less cost if you do all that together as one big group. But that's your guys' call. We're just here bringing you the information. This is kind of like if you read the whole entire study and you kind of squeeze it all together and put it all together, and under the commissioner's recommendation to kind of give us a starting point. This is, you can have a very nice system for about the total cost here. And they're looking at, like, if anybody would be interested, and it could be a couple of months from now, it could be next year you start looking into this more. There's no big rush on it because like I said, the auditor, her and her staff do a wonderful job with it now. The engineer seems content with his stuff, but if you think down the road you want to do something with it, this would be a nice starting point. And this basically gives you a good idea for like a 3-year kind of a plan. They base it on a 3-year system because there's some things you have to do the very first year with hardware and software. There's a little bit of upfront cost there. Then after that, of course, it progressively gets a little bit less expensive because you have less upfront cost. Then you got to put in, after the first 3 years, start putting in costs and figures for maintenance and like, you know, a new server, or like, you know, you need new tires on your car. Your car's still good, but you might need something new. So those costs are a little bit more hard to come up with, but that's the best I could tell you. The study's online at ncorcog.org. You can go view the whole study there. And this kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of where you can go. Nothing really earth-shattering. Usually I come with more jazzy stuff here. This is not that exciting, so I'm sorry. I can tell a couple jokes if you want me to, but that's all I got. Any questions on this at all? I'm sorry.
You know, just, I guess just a comment on the question, but, you know, I see what you're saying, that we could, you know, maybe for the same cost that's put into it now, but the problem is that cost is not ours right now. It's being taken care of by 2 departments under their own funding, not under
Correct.
general fund. So it would be additional cost to us and less for them, but I turn to their leadership on that, in terms of.
Yeah, and they got very
they're the ones
qualified, good people
doing
in
it
both
and
departments.
have the statutory requirements, is that the right term, Julie? To make sure they're doing whatever and that kind of a thing. So that's where I lead to what the 2 of them would want before my personal opinion, not speaking for this board, before I'd be interested in looking at otherwise, because they're the ones that have the requirements put on them, and they're the ones funding it right now.
Correct. And what we can do on behalf, is just send, on behalf of you folks, send it, the stuff that we worked on the last 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of this work here, we'll forward that to, of course, all the participating partners of regional planning, auditor's office, the mayor's engineer's office, and of course, the county engineer's office, and to you folks. We'll send you a copy of this as well, and then have that as a point where who'd like to take the conversation next. We don't want to be, and I say this sincerely too, we don't want to be in the position where we're trying to drive the things, because we do not, that's not our job or our function. We're just facilitators. So if anybody wants to drive it, say if Mark or Julie or you folks or somebody else wants to take it to the next step, we're more than happy to facilitate it, but I don't think it's our place, and I think we'd almost be out of line if we pushed it any further from here. But it's your guys' call. Take a look at it. I gave you a lot of information to look at here, and it is, the other form is much, you know, it's a big document. This consolidates it more to make it even easier for like somebody even like me to be able to understand it. So, and that's saying a lot, isn't it? So, once you read it, take a look at it, give us a call. We've been working with Commissioner Zoller, if that's okay to, he'd still be our conduit to the thing, so. Commissioner, you can give us, talk with your other folks in the county and see what their feelings are, and if you wanna go forward, great, if not, then that's fine too.
Well, John, I mean, we all need to back up a step here. And the reason for this, as I see it, is that we have two government agencies that are, three actually, auditor, engineer, and city, that are using a system that could be incorporated all together under one roof and save, in my mind, save the taxpayers some money here. Now, the unfortunate part is it comes, maybe not out of this pot or this pot, and it's gonna come out of our pot, but it's still taxpayers' money. And that's the impetus behind this whole thing. And I mean, I've been here 2.5 years and we still haven't got it resolved yet. And I keep looking at it that there has to be a savings here for the taxpayers. Now, what pot it comes out of is a different thing, so.
If you could have a more robust and unified system at the same cost, that should be the goal of every elected official in the world, or in the United States. But at the same time, though, if this was easy, every other county in Ohio would be doing it. So this is no disrespect to the auditor or the commissioners or the county engineer, because of the fact that there is no one else doing this at this point. It's kind of, in some places, it's a little bit more comprehensive they have here, but it's not an easy thing. And I think we're falling on the right tracks. We've had a lot of conversation, in-depth study on it, good communication with the auditor's office, with the engineer's office. And then, like I said, Fred, it'd be like telling you how to spend your money on what kind of car to buy or something. So at this point, when you get down to the nitty gritty and you're talking dollars and cents, then you guys start talking, because it's not your dollars and cents, it's the taxpayers, but you're responsible for the taxpayers' dollars and cents, and so then it is your responsibility to decide how you want to go forward.
In defense of the auditor and our engineer and so forth, and I found this kind of unique in setting in one of the meetings. We're not unique.
Correct.
In the state, is this issue, this seems like every county has kind of the same thing of this segmented thing that they're trying to consolidate it. I always look at Seneca County as, and we've done it with the Justice Center and so forth, we're kind of a leading edge.
Oh, yeah, this fits right in that
We're
model.
on the cutting edge, and I think that we have an opportunity here to continue to stay on the leading edge and do some consolidation here. But again, we're not unique. The same problem exists in the other counties, and I just would like to be progressive at it and take the initiative here, but.
And the one thing the study does stress about a lot, stresses in this study, is that the fact that you have, for tax maps and for engineering purposes, there's a whole segment there that's kind of being underutilized right now with the economic development component of it. And I know there's a new, I don't know the search process and that, but you're looking at possibly getting a new economic development person in there. And whoever he or she may be, that may be a golden opportunity to sit down with them and discuss this with them and see where they fit into this model as well, with the auditor and with the county engineer. Not trying to delay it anymore, but that'd be a logical point when that new person comes on. That could be one of their initial meetings perhaps, to meet and have a meeting from that point. I know we had some good preliminary meetings with
David Zach.
I almost forgot his name. How soon we forget? But I know he was transitionalizing out, but that might be a good opportunity. So that's just an idea, that's just a thought.
Yeah, he felt very strong that a strong GIS system is a great tool for economic development.
That's what came out of the study, that's what it says in the study as well, that's what they came up with. Well, thank you kindly. If you have any questions, after you read this, if you have a question, commissioners, give me a call, and then, like I said, I'll definitely forward all this, because we were actually playing around with this morning even. I'll forward it to all those partners I just mentioned. Cool.
Jim, I gotta ask you, is there some, of this whole study, is there some level of that we can cooperate and build this better mousetrap?
it's been a while since I've looked at the study in its entirety. But, you know, that's the direction we're going in the office. And if I could introduce Alex Rott, he is our GIS technician that came to us around Labor Day, wasn't it? A graduate of Ohio State University.
The Ohio State.
The Ohio State University, yes. So he's exciting. He's hit the ground running and brings a lot of good foundation for us to build on. So he's been analyzing our data, reviewing it to see what our next step is. But I guess to take a step back, one comment I would have to make is, you know, to have everything centralized is our goal. But keep in mind that other departments such as the engineer, Board of Health, Soil and Water, City of Tiffin, those are the ones that come to mind easily. They're still gonna have their need to maintain their own layers or their own blanket in this whole process. So while it still seems like there is costs by those departments with GIS, yes, there is, because they have their own need with the functionality.
But do they
of the
build
each
off
of
the
them.
same center system,
Yes,
the
that's the
same
goal.
base? Because that's the key, we don't want left and a right and a center, you know, all doing different things. You know, you gotta have a, as I see it, you know, a base, and then everybody, as long as they're building off that, it's that everybody's got accessibility to one combined system.
Right, and that's the goal. Alex has been researching the most cost-effective way for entities either to extract data or to submit data for the centralized hub. So I think what we found is not gonna be very expensive to the county.
Well, you always try to look towards best practices, and it sounds to me like there really isn't there really are not many models out there for best practices at this point. But the question I have, Julie, is if there is a hardware decision to be made or new software decisions to be made, purchases, who makes those decisions and who funds them?
Currently, all the expenses have been burdened, or I've taken it upon the auditor's office to make those expenses. It's an obvious expense per the Ohio Revised Code that talks that the auditor can use funds for that. So we have invested in the hardware, we've invested in the server. We've worked in conjunction with the engineer for the licensure because Mark had licensing from, let's say, day one. So he was able to get that for us at a good cost.
But if regional planning says, for example, I need to see a program that shows me all the roads in Clinton Township. I mean, I know this is probably something that's already done, but something that you're not doing now. Who would make the decision, the final decision as to whether we buy that software, whether we enhance the program, or whether we just ignore it and go on to the next thing? I mean,
Can I-
stakeholders that are out there, how much input do they have? I guess that's another way of asking the question.
Alex, that is going to be some of his duty. I'm very hopeful that people will see him as an outreach to extract that data. So I'm going to turn it over to the techie because I don't believe there's any licensure or issues that it is information that you can extract and forward to that department.
One thing you have to understand about GIS is it's all about the data. And once you get your software, whatever data you have, it makes your software that much better. So if you can get a level playing field with everybody having good software that works and that is most up to date, from there, every different department head, from there you can start to share your data. And in conversations with everyone, you could probably pick that central person that makes that decision on how that data is shared, who can have authority to manipulate a certain data file, like let's say roads in a certain section or township, and from there that's what you want. You want a central GIS hub. GIS gets its power when it has the most data available, and without a centralized GIS hub, what will happen is you'll probably end up having duplicates of certain files and certain shape files, and one might be more accurate than the other, and you can start to get a really big mess there. And that's
So to extract data and submit it to, let's say, Township A, do they have to have software licensure in order to be able to read data you've extracted? I think that's what Commissioner Kirschner's curious on.
It depends on if you want to manipulate that data. You can look at data all you want, depending on, let's say, like I use ArcGIS as a program software. We also have what's called AccuGlobe, and AccuGlobe is something that the auditor's office already had me coming into it. AccuGlobe, I'm not sure what the prices are on that, but in visiting other counties and talking to them, they can view and look at all of the data on software such as AccuGlobe, which I'm sure is relatively cheaper compared to some of the robust software that can manipulate the data. So depending on who has those authorities to manipulate and non-manipulate.
And
Wait.
when you say manipulate, would that mean changing the data?
Yes.
That's not, like if I choose to filter it out and only query out this much information.
Sure.
I'm just using the data there, I'm not changing the data, I'm just only requesting certain bits out of it. So that would require the less expensive software.
Yes.
That's it, I'll make sure I understand.
But if you wanted to go out and label all of your township, if you're a township and you want to go out and put all your township road signs, placement, that kind of thing, that's more of a manipulation. They may need different licensure.
Who makes a decision as to how deep you can manipulate the software? I mean, who has view only, who has changeability, who makes those decisions as to who's gonna be able to do that?
That's a little premature.
Yeah.
Right now, because really the only two offices that are working together would be myself and the engineer's tax map office. But, a user should have view only. I see them working on their own project and then saying, hey, I want to feed it into the central hub. That's typically how most county GIS systems are that we visited.
John, one last question of you. We allocated, or there was allocated $50,000 for the study. Is there any money left?
No, and what's nice about it though, no, there's not. But what's nice about it, I gotta give credit where credit's due. Derek Mayer from EMH&T.
Yeah.
He's been basically working. Don't put this in the paper, please, because I want a guy getting contract. No, you can put it. He's been working kind of for free for the last month or so. Just he feels committed to it. He thinks it's a very good idea. We would be the first in the state, and it'd be a nice feather in their cap too to see somebody take their study and go forward with it. And he believes in it. But right now they're just basically. This is kind of toward. That's why I was kind of making my this is the end kind of statement here. This is where it's at right now, and then it's up to the decision makers like Julie and you folks and Mark to go forward with it. But the money has been spent, and that's the end product was that study. But they've been very. I gotta say, I don't know. I never worked with the MH&T before. They've been great to work with, and they've been very nice about doing extra stuff above and beyond. I gotta give them credit where credit's due.
Well, I think it's worth, Julie, at least from my mind, it's worth having you and Mark and regional planning and whoever the other stakeholders are, major stakeholders, to review this 3-page summary and sit down with us and at least have a discussion as to what your recommendations would be going forward. We look at it, but we don't work with it every day, so I think your input would be quite helpful.
Thank you.
Is that it for the GIS? For the questions?
Any other comment? All right, thank you.
All right, well, thank you for coming over, Julie and Alex. That leads us to an opportunity for citizens' comments at this time. So we'll move to that phase. Are there any comments from anyone? Seeing none. A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned 10:43.